Alright guys, today we have a big, massive, huge update to this game, TrackDayR. So I had somebody asking me to jump back into the game because they wanted to see it, but I was kind of waiting for an update. So the last update we had would have been in May, I believe, and then just very recently we got this one. So this update completely changed the UI in the game. It added all this customization. There's tons of different stuff you can do. You can put tennis shoes on. You can put a t-shirt, jeans. I mean, you can do a bunch of stuff. And obviously you have, like, for the full, you have the street bike side of the game. So it's both the motocross and street bike side. So I wanted to show you the customization because we really didn't have any customization in the game before. I actually don't think we had any. We just had the stock gear that they put you on. So I wanted to show you this, but later in the video, there is so much to go over. We have a completely different rider model, way better than before. We have different bikes, we have tracks, we have new physics, we have just a bunch of stuff, all right? Just a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna be jumping into the main part about it, which would be the physics and the tracks and the bikes and stuff as soon as we finish up the customization here. But right after the customization ends here, I do want to show you the different bikes we got. So I haven't covered the game and every bike we have gotten, but the two new ones, we got the two Hondas. I know they're not CRFs, they're HMX 250F and 450F, but basically the Honda. And then we got this tiny treat here, the Sidecar MX, and I do try it out at the very end of the video if you are curious, but pretty cool. I wasn't expecting this, and kind of a nice surprise. Okay, so here we switch over to the main part about the update. The bikes in action, the rider model, the physics, the new tracks, all that good stuff. So to start things off, this is a new track. It is a sand track, very rough track. I don't remember what the name of it is, but really cool, really tough, really rough. And I am playing in first person because I just want to kind of talk about how the game felt, but most of the video will be in third person. So if you prefer third person, I know people have asked me to play in third person more instead of first person. It is coming. Now, I do prefer first person in this game and in MX bikes. Most of the time I do prefer third person, but in this game and MX bikes specifically, I do prefer the first person, and I still do even after the update. But the third person rider model and the way the game feels and plays are leaps and bounds better than they were before. So the physics, the way the physics are changed, there was a bunch of stuff, right? There was a ton of stuff. I don't remember everything they mentioned, but the game did feel different. It did feel different, especially in the air. In the air, it felt way different, way more smooth, way more responsive, and you can actually throw some pretty sweet whips. You can actually have some fun with it, and you'll see that in third person, because I really didn't do it in first. I was just trying to get around the track the best I could and whatnot. One small complaint, and it's really minor. You can see the icon in the bottom right corner for sitting and standing. I didn't really notice that for a while. I wish it was a bit more obvious. Even if it's tiny like MX bikes, in this game, it's kind of hard to tell if you're sitting or standing sometimes. The easiest way to tell is just if you hit the corner, do you stick your leg out? Now, it is easier to corner generally if you're sitting down, so you have that as well, but I wish that icon was a bit more obvious in first person. In third person, it really doesn't matter because you can see it. So here we switch over to third person, and oh my goodness, it looks way better. I mean, the rider model is so much better on the bike. The speeds of the game feel a lot better. In third person, the game always felt like it played very slow, and now not so much. It feels closer to first person. Obviously, it probably will never feel quite as fast just because of the perspective of the camera, but way better. If you remember when the game first came out, the rider, his legs were like really bowed. It was almost as if he was sitting on a horse or like a 55-gallon drum. And then they improved it. It got better, but not to this point. This completely new rider model is really good. Way, way, way better. I mean, you can see us throwing some whips and stuff, and the whips felt really good. They looked okay too. The rider looked alright doing it. But you can even see we get some, like, occasionally, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we get some, like, lag swag, you know, kind of hanging it off the bike. Really, really cool. The rider feels much more alive and realistic and whatnot. Obviously, it is not perfect. There are places where you kind of ride the front wheel into the corner. It kind of feels like you're just gliding. It feels a bit weird at times, and then you can get the chicken wing. The chicken wing will happen sometimes. You might see it in the video. I was trying to get footage where I didn't show that quite as much, but the chicken wing does come up sometimes. But even like Milestone with Supercross games, Supercross 2 was really bad with the chicken wing. So even bigger studios such as Milestone have problems with that. So it really isn't a big deal. It's just an observation more than anything. But overall, the physics feel good. Oh, also the lag, when it gets kicked out, sometimes it like brings it back, kicks it out, brings it back. It gets a bit weird, but overall, awesome. Really, really happy with this update. Here we switch over to Redbud, and this would be the 2023 new version of the track. I believe we had Michigan in the game, but it has been updated to the way it should be, and it plays amazing. I mean, it is scaled good. It feels great. When the game first came out, sometimes it was really easy to overjump stuff and just flatland, but here you can still do it, but it's a lot easier to ride the track in a more realistic way. And this new layout is fantastic, and I felt like it was a bit easier to try to show off and talk about the air physics on this track, because the first track was awesome, but it was just really, really rough. So I was just like trying to survive a lap more than be super stylish over the jumps and stuff like that. So a bit easier to show off at Redbud. The in-air physics are better. The whips feel more fluid. They look pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying perfect, but between kind of hanging the leg off the bike and the rider just moving around, and the way the whips feel and the way they look are a huge improvement over where they were before. So I believe it's Mad Cow is the studio, doing a great job. The weird thing, and I kind of mention it, this update, I don't think it was just for the dirt bike stuff, but as of late, the updates and the focus seem to be mostly on the dirt bike side of the game. And I'm completely cool with that, because that's the only part of the game I play. That's the only part of the game I care about. But if you bought the game in the beginning, it really felt like this game was marketed more towards street bike, but it had some dirt bike stuff in it. But like I said, lately it really feels like they mostly are concerned about getting the dirt bike side going good. So I don't know, maybe that isn't the case, but if you bought the game in the beginning for the street bike stuff and wanted that mostly, maybe you're a bit upset or disappointed that it doesn't feel like you get quite as much attention as far as the physics, the updates, and stuff like that. But overall, I'm happy because I like the dirt bike side. And then here, we switch over to the sidecar MX bike. It is freaking crazy, really cool. I wouldn't say it was the most fun thing for me. I never took it on a track. Probably trying to hit some jumps might get pretty crazy and wild, but the cool thing about this studio is that they're completely fine with putting weird stuff in the game. I mean, this isn't the first weird kind of obscure vehicle we've seen in the game, so it probably won't be the last, and I really appreciate it. It adds a fun factor to the game, and I think there's a bunch to be said about adding fun to a video game. So many times people get so serious about these games and say that if it's not realistic, if it isn't MX Sim, if it isn't MX Bikes, if it isn't Reflex, it sucks. I think there's something to be said for adding fun stuff to a game, and there's also something to be said for a studio that's working really, really hard to update the game and make it better and better over time. I do believe this is a good step in the right direction. I mean, when the update first came out, within that first week, there was like 3 or 4 hot fixes to fix whatever the problem was. I didn't get to the update until a bit later, so I'm not really sure, but I do know wheelies were a bit of an issue in the beginning with this patch. So I do think they have fixed that or found the bug or whatever the problem was. So they're working hard. They're doing a great job. I'm glad to see that they were able to get a big update out before the end of the year, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you do play the game, how do you feel about it after seeing it? How do you feel about it? Where do you think they're going in the direction of good or bad? But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.